Alrighty, what's going on, boys and girls? This is Matt here for Dark One Linux Tech and Game Wars, the fusion of Linux technology and gaming. And we are looking at a PewDiePie installs Linux video. I know a while ago there was a hubbub about like a 0.5 second clip of like the Linux terminal in one of his either ad portions of his video or something. And I think sometimes these guys don't realize like how big they are. Like, dog, like, you're one of the biggest content creators on the platform. Like, yeah, people are going to notice shit like that, especially if they're techie. But let's get into this and see what is he doing? Like, I'm very curious.
Oh, you little cat. Little thing. Oh, what happened to you? Look at yourself. You're the blob from I Have No Mouth, But I Must Scream. Oh, who did this to you? Was it Windows? Oh, Mac OS? Oh, don't worry. I can save you. Install Linux. What if I told you you can look like this? Anyway, let me start this off by saying I am not a tech guy. You saw my PC building video.
You're so bent.
I'm surprised the whole thing hasn't exploded.
So, I'm not a PewDiePie guy generically as far as this content's just not for me. I can appreciate someone who's like, hey, this isn't a me thing. As far as like, I don't like, out of their warehouse, out of their element, I can appreciate that. So, props to him on that.
It's like sitting next to a bomb every day. But what you did see was 0.5 seconds of the video where I installed Linux on the thing, and a lot of people just went, what? Some people seemed surprised and confused.
Something possessed him to put Linux on it.
Some people were excited. At the time, I didn't know the power that I had. I was like a baby with a rocket launcher. For years, I have been tortured by Windows. But now, alas, I am finally free. I escaped the Windows cave. I saw the sun. The shadows are gone. It blinded me for a moment. And now I'm speaking to you in the cave. Enough reference. Okay, so I'm gonna yap about Linux for as long as this video is, and you're gonna listen. I want to start off by going through the reasons why I switched to Linux. It's different for everybody. Number one is how...
So he is very right. The reasons, despite anything that he does prior, the reasons anybody switches are vast and numerous, and they all are very different as far as the reasons why. For some of us, it's controls, or some of us, it's the options that are available are not options anymore. There's a ton of different, valid reasons to switch. There's also valid reasons not to, but that, if Linux does anything and should be presented as anything, it brings back the personal to computing. You make the choice to use what you do as your personal computing platform. Be it, so Linux, Windows, Mac, BSD, if you want to go Haiku or React OS, cool, go do you. But like, that's what Linux kind of allows. So let's get back into what his reasons.
How backlit this shot is. Number one, Windows talks to me like I'm a baby. Now, mentally, I might be, but that does not warrant. You want Candy Crush? You want Candy Crush on your computer? You want to use Bing? Yes. Are you sure you want to delete that file? Are you super duper sure you want to delete the file? That's how it talks to me, and I don't like it. Linux, on the other hand, literally puts a gun in your hand and says, "Do it. You're God now." My first sort of aha moment when I installed Linux or started using it was, wait a minute, it does exactly what I wanted to do. And there's just a really powerful feeling about that. I do want to show you guys my setup as well. I will get into that. But first, reason number two. As an epic minimalist, the blood The bloat is real. It always bothered me. Anytime I install a new Windows, I spend like an hour trying to uninstall all the pre-packaged BS that I don't want. Windows is like, I know you paid $100 or whatever for me, but I'm still gonna put ads in here. Yes. Put a little AI in here. You want that, right? That doesn't benefit me. It's for you, the consumer. Bing! It doesn't benefit me that you use Bing, but please use Bing. Microsoft is an annoying Swede, apparently. With Linux, nothing.
So, yes, as far as the first reason, Microsoft does tend to baby you, but I'm going to defend it a little bit. They also have to cater to the lowest common denominator because they are the market lead. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying I enjoy it or whatnot. And there's a certain level of where does the lowest common denominator stop? So there are, those kind of guards there where they can be more than mildly annoying, but again, Mac OS, has them as well. So I'm not going to just shit on Windows. They both kind of suck when it comes there. Are you positive? Are you sure? Fucking yes. After the third fucking time, I said yes. So I get it. I really do. As far as the bloat, so I've never been one to really whine and complain about, this Linux distro is bloated. I've never been that way. I don't mind a shipped experience. You can have a shitty ship experience though. Look at certain Android phones as an example, and all the god awful shit that sometimes is on those that are not clean as far as what's pre-installed and everything else. That is, beyond ridiculous sometimes. And you can't uninstall that shit unless you root or ROM or, whatever with your phone. Stupid annoying. But the same thing applies to, iOS. There's certain things you can't delete on there. Mac OS, good luck, if you want to install shit, like a normal DMG from the internet. Holy shit. End of the world according to Apple securities. Shit. So I get what he's kind of saying as far as the bloat. Bloat on Linux is a little different. People will view them as unnecessary apps. Microsoft and those guys, I view them as integrated business that they're trying to do that get in the way and are, half-assed products, or limp implementations of products, etc. So, for somebody who's like, oh, yeah, here's, Candy Crush, here's that kind of stuff. Those are the bloats that people kind of need to understand. There's a difference. The Linux world, I want super minimal and blah, blah, blah. People are like, oh, how do you debloat Linux distro? And my joke is with this, use the fucking package manager. Use the fucking package manager. That is it. Because it's not going to tell you no. All the other ones will tell you no. iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac OS will tell you no. Linux, it just says, okay, whatever. Unless you get certain things that are, put in your way by certain developers. But that's going down a rabbit hole I'm not going to go down. The short version is Linux still gives you that control to, debloat a distro or your OS, as it were. So you're not stuck with the shipped experience that necessarily certain additions don't make it better for you. Whereas the other ones, well, those are the ones you got to deal with.
Serenity, please. Don't even get me started on the Windows taskbar. You control what's on your computer. Duh, it's obvious. How is this not a thing? Reason number 3, customization. I discovered this afterwards. Customizing on Linux is a beautiful thing. On Windows, you can maybe change your wallpaper, change a little bit of colors, whoopity-doo. On Linux, you can change reality itself. Since Linux is built modular, you can swap out your GUI entirely. You don't even have to use one. You can cut off the head of Linux and it'll still be like, hey, I'm here, what's up? Customizing on Linux is called rising, and I got way too into it. I cooked hard. I can't wait to show you guys. Now, reason number 4, gaming. Gaming on Linux is finally
So the customization aspect, I'll put it this way. I've found that you will do a lot of cooking, you know, as he kind of alludes to when it comes to initial stuff. You will end up finding a like a pattern or UI or like kind of a workflow. This is where when people talk workflow on Linux, it's different than talking workflows specifically on like a Windows or a Mac or whatever, because it's tailored to you and your idiosyncrasies and all that stuff. So the customization and the workflow is going to be very different. Like my workflow, I've done videos in the past where I show like how I customize Plasma to look more kind of like old Unity almost. And the way I do it because of everything being to the left, and I go just granular enough, and it's not a lot of customization because I basically can do it on any distro for the most part. I do enough customization and tweaking with it and know where I need to go that basically, so when a menu pops out, I can just jump into the next application and flow by just going up to the top left of where I'm, any open window, and I need to get to the menu. Bam, menus to the left anyway. Pop that open, bam, go to the next one, and it just kind of pop and go. It's not for everybody, but that's the way it works for me. So I get what he's talking about. I get what he's talking about when it comes to customization, and I totally understand that you will go through this phase of finding what works. And when you find what works, I'm not going to lie, you become a bit curmudgeon-y and like, mine, this is how it works. That's usually when you get people who will, use GitHub or GitLab and save all their config files and all the other stuff and pull them down anytime they do a new distro or install a new distro. So, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So very to the point as far as what he's talking about though.
Real. I actually installed Linux 15 years ago. That's right, I'm old. And I uninstalled it after like a couple days, as a lot of people do, when they realize, oh, I can't use the things I need on Linux. And for me, that was gaming back then, because it's like, well, then what's the point? But now, gaming on Linux is real, at last. So Valve came in like Gandalf's in Helm's Deep, riding a Steam Deck with Proton. So I think this is a perfect example how Linux benefits everyone. The fact that Valve as a company recognized maybe Microsoft has a bit too much power. If they wanted to and started being shady, locking things down, taking cuts, they absolutely could, and it's not like it would be uncharacteristics for them to do. So Valve started improving gaming on Linux, boosted driver support, and they built on what was already there from open source software like Wine. By doing this, Valve benefits, consumer benefits, ecosystem grows, win, win, win. It really feels like an alternate reality. This totally could not have been a thing. And it also makes me realize just how many things can be better if people just weren't so greedy. Can we just fix them? So thank you, Linux, and thank you, Base Gaben. Now I got...
So, well, the gaming situation on Linux has vastly improved. It's not at everyone's support level as far as like what works, what doesn't work. If you're anti-cheat and all that kind of stuff, like there's a level of where it matters and where it doesn't for some people. And I totally get that. The way I will counter most arguments when, I can't play X game on Linux. Can you play X game, insert game here for where X is? Can you play that game on Mac OS? Because that's your alternative. And I will almost guarantee you probably can't. I have a Mac sitting down there. It's an Intel-based one. There are so many damn games in my collection that I cannot play. And I'm talking like out of 1,500 games, I might have 10%. It is garbo. And God help you if you have a 32-bit library game that has not been updated. So, yeah, there are the gaming on Linux situation is far better than Mac. Not as good as it could be, but I think it's funny because you go back a few, maybe a decade or so when Google Docs was first kind of bouncing off. Google specifically, it was either Google or somebody similar did a study. And if you can provide 80% of the functionality out of, kind of compared to the market lead, most people are going to be content with that because they're going to have what they need for the most part. If you can provide for 80% of use cases, 20%, not so much. Like, those are going to be like if you're, your Excel, PowerPoint kind of like superpower user people. And it kind of works the same way when it comes to gaming. It's like, can I play most of my shit? But I'm not going to care. And that's kind of how it boils down to, because there is so much choice now, and a breadth and availability of where to get games, how to get games, etc., that it is easier to kind of overlook some of the ones that might not work per se. I'm not saying they don't matter or that they shouldn't work or it wouldn't be cool if they worked, but the reality is if the company doesn't want to make them work, I'm looking at you, Epic and some others, that there's enough where it's like, oh, me and my friends aren't going to play X, but we'll play the other popular X game instead. I think it still gives a valid choice of structure and stuff. It's kind of like going on a console and it's like, oh, hey, let's do this game here, but the one dude that you're trying to game with only has a Switch. So they're not even going to have the fucking game. So again, it's a moot point a lot of the times, especially now that gaming is a limitation. But, if you're competitive and there's certain games that you only play, et cetera, it's kind of like the PowerPoint users or the Excel users. You're just going to have to stay on where you're at. And that's fine.
I've gone through the reasons why I switched to Linux. Let me just explain why maybe not switching is a good idea. Because everything good comes with a sacrifice. If you're swapping to Linux, you'll likely have to give something up. I don't know what it is, but for me, it was Photoshop. I used Photoshop, again, for 15 years. All the shortcuts, all my workflow, it's all baked into my brain. The way I use Photoshop, I don't think about it. It's just, here's the thumbnail. It's not beautiful, but I get the job done. Unfortunately, Adobe is a garbage company and their software just won't run on Linux. A lot of artists are jumping ship. They don't want to use Adobe anymore because they realize it's a terrible company. Me as well, I thought, you know what? It's time. I'll swap over. I know the open source alternative is GIMP. I've heard about this forever. And I thought, it'll feel good. I'll feel good leaving Adobe. So I'm ready. I go to their website, I click through the 1,000 pages, I crawl through the bushes just to find the goddamn unsubscribe button, and I was so ready. I was gonna be like, just unsubscribe. You know what happens? They hit me with an unsubscription fee. Yes. Those... I'm sorry, what? I have to pay to not use your software. It was like $65 or something. It's insane. What the f? If anything, it just made me realize, okay, it's over. I'm never going back. So like I said, the open source alternative is GIMP. GIMP!
Okay. So I just kind of want to touch on the Adobe thing real quick. Yes, Adobe is a trash company. Ever since they got rid of went to Creative Cloud, it has been a nightmare. As he mentions, crawling through 75 pages of bullshit to find the unsubscribe button, only to get charged a cancellations for your service. That's a load of bullshit on so many levels. He talks about GIMP and Photoshop and stuff, but Adobe, like if you are super, again, this kind of ties back to gaming. If you are super reliant on certain pieces of software and are unwilling to attempt alternatives, try alternatives, you know, there's going to be an investment of time and, you know, learning that while the tools might be in that application, there may be in different structures and different spaces, different UI, et cetera, et cetera. So keeping that in mind is very, very key, that you are now going to have a time investment instead of a monetary investment. Is that something you're willing to trade up to have some control? That's kind of what it really boils down to.
And since this is Linux, open source, you can do whatever you want. I downloaded this icon pack that changed the icons so they look like the Photoshop icons. That helped a little bit. Then I downloaded our shortcut command list that matches the one on Photoshop. Boom, made it a little easier. You know, I'm still not 100% used to it, but the fact that I can do stuff like this really helps. For me personally, a worthy sacrifice. I hope this doesn't sound like copium, but genuinely, it feels good that I was able to move on. At the end of the day...
Okay, I just wasn't sure if you had something more to say. So yeah, you can do certain things like that. There are, so I'm always reluctant to say GIMP is a Photoshop replacement, and Photoshop alternative is more accurate. So the problem is a lot of the times Linux users, specifically like long-term Linux users, will tell you, "Oh, just use blah blah blah. It's the same as Photoshop," and it's like, fucking no, it's not. So what I will say is, again, be open to alternatives. These are not drop-in replacements. They will never will be in any fucking universe of thought. And anybody who says that they are is fucking lying to you. Now, can you get the same end results for the most part? Yeah. The tools and the journey kind of to get to that end result might be vastly fucking different than what you're used to, though. How that, like, the way GIMP handles layers, the way, you know, is there certain editing skills and structures or features in Photoshop that might not necessarily be available in GIMP, and vice versa. Personally, for me, I don't recommend GIMP to begin with. If you're going down the Photoshop replacement route, Photoshop alternative route, I generically actually tend to recommend Krita first, if you're gonna go that route, just because it's meant for artists to start with, and GIMP is more, you know, GNU image manipulation program. Image manipulation. I tend to view Krita as much more of a image creation program, so I tend to recommend it more. You know, that's just me, though. It does have its limitations, just like everything else. Another option is Photopea? Photopea. It's basically an online, but you can have it as a local app kind of application, and it mimics Photoshop and a lot of the idiosyncrasies with that. So there are plenty of alternatives to it. So again, it's about there's always a sacrifice. If you go to Mac, you're going to sacrifice. You go to anything, you switch OSs, you're going to sacrifice stuff. So
today, some tools are only going to work on Windows and only going to work on Mac, but what you gain on Linux is so much more. Freedom. Join us. I'm just praying that Adobe is not just going to show up one day and be like, there's another fee. I'll meet them in a dark alleyway. They'll be like, it's a little fee. Now that I've convinced you to swap to Linux, you have the wonderful choice of picking a distro. Yay, so many of them. I hear people going like, I don't know which one to pick. What do I do? There's so many. Just pick one. It's a wonderful thing that you can choose. Don't you understand? The world is your flavor. Look at all these spices. I went with Mint because it's the same one that I installed 15 years ago, and I knew that it was beginner friendly and that it still holds up. It very much feels like Windows, just better, okay? You don't even need to touch the scary terminal. If you don't want to, you don't have to. It's okay. You should though. Now, let's jump into my computer really quick. Oh, look at that. I'm recording with OBS. Open source is always the best source. Couldn't get Bandicam. They didn't have a Bandicam. I can't believe I paid for that. There's like free versions everywhere. That's so much better. Okay. All right. So this is the terminal. You've probably heard about it in Linux. Feels a bit strange in the beginning. Let me just show you how it works. But first, wait. Oh, yes, today's sponsor. 3, 2, 1. Wrong! G-Fuel! Wow, look at ASCII art, everyone.
Okay. Well played, props. I will give him props for the ASCII arted fast fetch, neofetch, whatever you're using. As far as like the way you're doing it, that's pretty cool. That is dope. Yes, Linux is about control and kind of giving you back that option. It is not without its sacrifices, though. It is the short version. As far as choice of distro, God, you're gonna get like if you go to a forum, what's the best distro, and it's like, oh, it's such an open-ended loaded question because everyone's gonna have their preference, like personally, and not kind of drill down into what the user is looking for. I'm I'm an Arch guy, but I tend to use kind of whatever. I jump a lot of ships most of the time, but I use Garuda as my daily driver. It's an Arch-based distro. Would I recommend it for everybody? No. But would I not recommend it for everybody? Also, no. So, like, I have to put, like, the thing that a lot of Linux users are bad about is kind of putting their personal preference for an distro kind of aside, because they like, hey, this is my experience with it, so this is what I'm going to recommend. And that's not always the best case for the user. Like, I did a video where I did a Linux distro kind of like tier list, and like I was very specific about the demographic. It was like the tier list was aimed at. And there's a reason for that, because the one thing a lot of people won't understand is these varying distros target different demographics and different use cases. And like, example, Chimera OS, it's an immutable Arch-based kind of distro that is, essentially meant for like handhelds and stuff. I haven't installed them, but, it's very home console. It's an appliance style OS. Like that's its job. So, or Libre Elect is meant for like home theater PCs. So like there's very specific use case distros. And a lot of the times you'll get certain jackwagons and jackoffs that think they know Linux. And I'm not saying I know Linux, trust me. Like I'm just a dude with a microphone and internet connection and a voice, and I'm not afraid to use it. But like, it boils down to, they'll tell you, oh, you can do all this in any distro. And it's like, yeah, but how much work do I have to do to get to the end result I'm looking for? Because maybe I value my fucking time instead. So, or like, I don't care to know how to get to there. This is the solution I need now. Not 6 days from now, 4 days from now, whatever. So as far as the choice of Mint, cool. I have my issues with Mint, but that's more of a product management aspect of it and not so much the project. So Mint is a good choice if you like the Cinnamon desktop, or if you're kind of want to know what uh, less shitty non-adware based Windows task system kind of looks like. It's not a bad choice. You have Zorin OS too. Is another recommendation. Those are both Ubuntu-based distros, not ones I generically float in, but they're good. But if you're just, I need a solution now, they're good. So, props.
I love it. Beautiful PewDiePie tub. Right now, you get a free PewDiePie shaker cup, which is an amazing deal. If you order $50 or more, highly recommend. It's a great deal. This is probably the best deal you're ever gonna get with G Fuel. Please take advantage. I genuinely mean that. You get the booty shaker free. Code PewDiePie. This is your final chance. Only Brofist. Thank you. Go to gfuel.com. Video. Okay, so this is my desktop. I called it Apollo, and then I have my laptop, which I called Dionysus, because I wanted to mess around with it. Dionysus is the one I really went hard on the rising. But I just wanted to show some terminal commands really quick, just so you get an idea how it works. I talked about this in my last video, but the first thing that really blew my mind with Linux, I just noticed my computer was booting kind of slowly. So I found this command called systemdanalyze, and it tells you exactly how long it takes for your computer to actually load and what part takes a certain amount of time. And it used to be like 45 seconds. I was like, dude, this is terrible. So then I found another command called blame, and then you can see exactly what part is kind of slowing down your system, which got me into like really optimizing it. And I had so much fun doing that. And it just made me realize, just like on Windows, if my computer is kind of slow, you just kind of deal with it. It's like, oh, okay, well, what can you do? On Linux, it's like, the world is your oyster. You can fix it. Personally, I like that kind of stuff. The second thing that blew my mind with the Linux.
Yes, you can do a crazy amount of system optimization if you really want to, and drill down to, I'll call it the init system, because God forbid if, just call it system D, because, those with like sysv and init, other init systems are going to get all pissy, but yes, you can customize the hell and optimize the hell out of your system. And you're right. In Windows, it's basically, at best, go nuke some startup applications, and that's about the best you're going to be able to do without drilling down into, regedit stuff, which, probably break the next update anyway. So, not wrong.
Linux terminal was just how fast it is at searching. Searching on Windows is so annoying. It takes forever. Sometimes it doesn't even find the file, even though you type the name of it perfectly. And a lot of times they just Bing it. They're like, "Oh, you want to search for your file? Oh, maybe no. Actually, you want to look it online. That's what you want to do." It's like, no. Linux, you can find any file, whatever you want. This is searching all JPEGs on my computer. That's a bad example, actually. The other thing that I love about it is that you don't have to just search the file. You can also search text inside the file. So let's say you forgot what the file is called, but you remember roughly some stuff inside it. You can grep it, and bada bing, bada boom. What the hell is this? Spotify password text. Balls deep. I did not do that. What? Searching files on Linux is super fast. It made me realize just how it should be on a computer again. The most obvious thing with the terminal is that, let's say you install the operating system and you need to also put all the programs that you want to use on it. Usually you have to go on the browser, Google it, look up their page, go to their download page, dodge all the fake ads and all that crap, and do that and install and run each one, wait for it to install, yada yada. It takes forever. On Linux, you just go sudo apt install, what do we want? We want VLC, Firefox, OBS Studio, boom, thank you. And now I can sit and look at the screen and feel like I'm a hacker. Yes, I know what all of this means. Every single letter I'm soaking in with my brain. There's so much you can do with the terminal. It's insanely powerful. I can make a whole video about it, but I don't want to keep this too long-winded. And in reality, I just want to show you my rise on my laptop. To be honest, that's the whole reason I'm making this video.
Okay, so terminal. Do you need it? Do you not? Depends on you as the user. So one thing I will give application search and file search and stuff, it has improved dramatically in Linux a lot, the fuzzy search and all that stuff. It's funny because like he was just talking about something and I was like, there was something in, I just typed in Garuda as an example, and I was curious to see what Katie's menu would pull up in Garuda. And it pulls up the applications, various things, EPUB documentation, not even a second. It gives me a folder, it gives me a browser history for Garuda, like everything. Like, this is the thing that makes it different. Windows, because of all its incorporating of other things, being in, I'm going to, instead of being integrated well, it's bolted on parts that might have like one thread minimally connecting to each other. So like when you search on, Windows and it brings up, Bing and search and all the other dumb shit, it is fucking slow, terrible. When you get better and quicker results from PowerShell or CMD prompt, Windows has some stuff to fix from the front end portion as it relates to UI interaction with customers and people. Linux tends to be far better. As far as application installation, yes, nobody uses the fucking Microsoft Store. It's just kind of what it is. As far as the installation process, I'm not always going to recommend the terminal first as the default answer, but that kind of depends on the user. So, like, if you're inclined to use the terminal, comfortable with the terminal, sure, cool, use it. I'm going to recommend whatever store front end your distro will ship with. Variety of different ones. Could be KDE Discover, Plasma Discover, whatever they're calling it now. It could be Discover. It could be GNOME Software. It could be insert 900 other ways to install software from a GUI on Linux. So I tend to recommend that for most normal, everyday, mom pop, don't give a shit about technology users. But the terminal is a valid option. The strength of either choice, GUI or terminal. Yes, find what you're looking for, check a box, type in some words, whatever. Either result is literally hit enter or apply or click apply, input your password, and away it goes and installs a whole bunch of applications. That is fantastic.
I had this old laptop. I mean, it's not that old, but I just never used it because I didn't really like using it. I mentioned before there's many distros.
And I'm just going by looks. That looks like an Asus ROG Zephyrus 14, maybe, if I had to guess.
Of Linux, and I wanted to try one called Arch, partially because of the meme. It's kind of become a meme because it's a little difficult to install Arch, so it's like a
by the way, I use Arch. Ironically, here's the great thing: every Steam Deck owner could say that. And Steam OS is very much appliance based as far as like its intended target. But anyway, let's keep going. Yes, you will, if you do a pure Arch install, it'll very much be done the right way through, the Arch Wiki and all the other stuff. Then yes, it can be, don't fuck it up or else you'll start from the beginning kind of thing. It's kind of like a roguelike, just with a terminal.
Like a flex to use it. For some reason, I went on a God run and I had no issue. I always get stuck on the dumbest ever for like 12 hours. I don't know what happened that time. But I also wanted to download Arch because it's a minimalist distro. Whatever you put, or at least 90% of it, is there because you decided to put it there. And it's also very highly customizable, which are two elements that I love. So I knew I was going to love it. All right, let's go into my laptop. I think it makes sense for me to show it without any customization first because it just be confusing and I need to talk to people that haven't used Linux. My first favorite thing, which I have on Mint as well, is just shortcuts on my keyboard to open programs, open terminal, open file manager, open browser, close it, whatever, it's all there. It's such a nice workflow and have a more keyboard-centric way of using your computer, especially on a laptop. But even in general, you know, the whole like, okay, let me click on the start menu and just find the thing. If I don't have it keybind, I can open Rofi and just search for it and open it. I don't want to over-explain things as well, but yeah, this is my terminal on this setup. I'm using Alacrity, and this is NeoFetch, which shows my specs. And usually people have an ASCII art. It sounds like I'm saying ASCII. ASCII, I'll call it ASCII, of their distro. And if you saw my Mint one earlier, I was like, oh, it wouldn't be cool if I do like my own custom ASCII. And then I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I do my own animated ASCII? So I figured out how to do that. It took a little bit of tinkering and schminkering, but it's just so nice to look at. I love it.
So I can appreciate this because, you know, he found something that he didn't know he wanted or was interested in and went and did it himself. And the system didn't get in the way of doing it. And something that you'll find repeatedly on macOS and Windows and even Android and iOS, they always get in the fucking way eventually.
So I'm running Hyperland, which is this beautiful tile manager. It automatically sorts it for me whenever I open something. This is such a nice workflow, and I can close it all as well. You can...
So Hyperland is what they call it, like, it's traditionally it would fit into more of a tiling window manager, but it is very, very well implemented. I like what they are doing with Hyperland. I'm not a Hyperland user personally. I'm not solely dependent on keyboard shortcuts, which that is what a lot of tiling window managers tend to focus on. And, you know, more power to them. Cool. Definitely jumped into the deep fucking end of the pool. I will say that. And I can appreciate that. Again, it's funny what you can find when I'm curious. And, you know, PewDiePie is already doing shit that most of us that even as Linux users are like, nah, good dog. Like, you know, that is the fun part. Like, you can go as deep as you want and you are not limited by the system. That is what is super fun and cool about Linux. And because even at the beginning of the video, PewDiePie's like, I'm sitting next to a possible computer that will blow up that I built. And he's like, I'm not a tech guy. So the fact that not a tech guy has gone this deep for it is showing that, hey, bruh, you're a tech guy now.
You can literally open these until infinite. When you're on a laptop, when you have limited screen space, it's such a great way to work with it. The fact that they're always there means I never have to look for them because I know they're there. And if my workspace is full, I can look at this, swap to another one. This is workspace number 2 and workspace number 4. I've been recording OBS from here. Let's say I'm working on a project.
So most GUIs, GUI, pointing, clicking user interfaces on Linux have a multiple desktop feature in some way, shape, or form. Plasma has one. GNOME has one. Most of your tiling window managers in some way, shape, or form have one. Enlightenment or whatever version they're on. A lot of them have them in some way, shape, or form, maybe a different implementation, etc. You can technically do this on Windows, though the implementation is kind of garbo. On Linux, it's a lot more integrated into the system and the way it's used. So like for me, if I want a new desktop, I either go to bring my mouse. I have hot corners activated. So I either go to the top right or the bottom right, depending on my system configuration and system I'm using. And it just brings up an overview, gives me the current desktops that I have, and a big old plus that I can add if I want more. So there are a variety of different ways to do it. Yes, but with keyboard shortcuts and stuff, you can throw windows left and right. There is kind of built-in tiling to a lot of the window, like GNOME and KDE desktop environments that you can do. It's more quarter windows as opposed to filling the windows in a very specific way, like a tiling window manager would. So again, all super cool, all super awesome, and I love seeing it.
On workspace 1, I can then work on another thing on workspace 2 and go back and forth vice versa instantly. I love this way of using a computer. It's so sick. The first thing I really loved about this Arch Hyperland setup was just how quick and smooth it looks, at least. You know, like boom, oh, open. It's so nice. But then I open my browser and it's like, oh, you see that? Ew. Again. Oh, that took forever. And it loads so ugly. So my first thought, okay, well, maybe I can upgrade my SSD to make it snappier and quicker. But then I thought, I'm on Linux. I can do whatever I want. So let's run a time here, Firefox. Let's ignore the CSS errors. I tinkered a bit too much. Don't worry about it. What was that? 2 seconds? Not good enough. So I figured out a way, and it's so dumb. I won't explain how I did it. But the fact that I was able to do it, boom, instant. Boom, 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 boom! I love it. I love it.
And this is the nice thing. If there's something that irks you, you can probably fix it if you really want to. Other times, this is the thing. If it irks you enough to your soul, you can fix it. Honestly, not gonna lie, I would kind of like to have seen what he said that he specifically did to fix it. Just community sharing knowledge kind of thing. But I can appreciate the fact that he's just showing that, he deep dived into the deep end of the fucking pool that even a lot of other Linux users are like, nah, I'm good, dog. Like, there's a lot of appreciation there.
But so much. It's these small things that makes you really fall in love with using Linux. Anyway, the first thing I customized was Waybar. Oh, I forgot to say, I can move around as well if I want to. Anyway, and move them to a different workspace. So yeah, this is my taskbar. It's like the Windows taskbar, except you decide exactly what's on it and customizing it. I put calendar, turn it on and off, internet, Bluetooth, quick access to all these things, I really enjoy this as well. It's basically just tells me if I'm connected to NordVPN or not, and I can toggle by clicking on it, and it tells me which country I'm connected to. Up here, it shows which workspace I'm using. Since I have these reactor in the background, I thought it'd be cool to like LARP as if each workspace was each reactor. I'm on reactor A, there's reactor B, and C, and D, where it's recording OBS. Then I have my battery bar, which is ASCII. I keep saying ASCII, which is ASCII art. I got the volume. And look, if my volume goes too low, it gets red, it's critical. Just to really LARP the whole nuclear reactor UI. To me, it's cool. I like it. All right, the second thing I did was making widgets with ew. Ew was a nightmare, I'm not gonna lie. Here we go. Let me also change the wallpaper really quick, one second. All right, so this is my desktop. Let me play some music, actually.
So I'm gonna say I appreciate this is don't know how far along the Linux road he is at this point when he started diving onto this end. Like, dog, this is shit. Like, even some people like this is the shit. Like, you're gonna find Linux users won't even fucking touch, because give me the shipped experience. I'll do some tweaking, call it good. Like that's how. Honestly, a majority of us are now. Some of us we have found what works for us, and we're curmudgeon and gray beards, as it were. So I do enjoy the thing that I love about like certain videos like this, and I've not done a lot of reactions specifically lately. The thing I love about these is the fact that it's that excitement of discovery when it comes to technology and going down the rabbit hole of finding out that, oh shit, I'm actually kind of interested in this. When you originally you're like, I don't care. So I definitely get where he's coming from. I'm trying to remember. There's another application that kind of does this, that a lot of distros used to ship with. And for the life of me, my brain just can't remember. It's not Mango HUD. It's, oh dear Lord. Like MX Linux and a few other distros include it and ship it and stuff. And now I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I know what, it kind of gives you this interactive look here on your system overview and that kind of stuff on your, desktop. Really cool. Again, like the fact that he's gone this deep in such a short amount of time. Bro might not be a tech guy, but bro's a tech guy.
So first I added this visualizer because I just saw a lot of people doing it. It's using Kava, but I changed it again with Ashy. So it looks a little more matrix and hackery. Here we have my uptime, just how long it's been running, and how much until my battery is out. I should probably charge my laptop. CPU temp, I should probably change, cool it down a bit. All of this is, it changes. It's not just like visual flare. Well, it is, but CPU load, which changes, RAM usage, storage. This tells me which workspace I'm on. So right now I'm on reactor B. Power consumption, completely useless, but I needed it to look cool. And then we have my two fans for CPU and GPU, and then this little spinny fan thing to show it. Upload and download, latency, and then just another VPN thing. It's kind of pointless. And then basic weather. And then finally, to make it sort of all work together, I added a script that basically scans if I'm using a window. So if I open or close, it sort of transitions in and out of Waybar because I don't need it on both. That's just like too much information in my opinion. So this is on my desktop. It's just a nice vibe here. We just chill over here. And then when I'm in workflow, it blackens it all out. And I can just get going on my schwingy thingy. Oh, and in the middle here, my... I forgot to say, it has power profiles, my laptop, so I thought it'd be cool to change them. It's silenced, balanced, or power mode, but I changed it to Razgon, which means overclock. You see my fans are spinning, and these are faster as well, because the fans are spinning more. This is so sick to me, because I'm remembering what this laptop used to be running Windows. I never wanted to use it. I hated it. Now it went from a hardware that I never used to my favorite piece of hardware because it not just looks great, it runs great. I love it. It's so sick. I had so much fun customizing this. It was just a blast. Yeah, I hope you guys appreciate it as well. I've been doing so much more. I built this camera as well. Like I mentioned, earlier, you can communicate with Linux even without a graphical user interface GUI. That made me so excited because I'm like, wait, that means I can use other computers at my disposal. For some reason, to me, that's just like really cool. And I wanted to try what I could do with it. I want to show this in another video maybe because I feel like it's too much yapping. But my point is, I've been having so much fun. Just tinkering, messing around, feeling like a hacker. But I gotta be real as well. Linux is not perfect. There's a lot of issues. A good example is, again, my laptop. When I first installed Arch, none of my F keys worked. Actually, sorry, 3 out of 12 worked out of the box. So I had spent a long time bringing them back to life. For me, it was kind of fun. I was like, oh, got another one working. Like, okay, let's move on to the next one. But I can imagine for a lot of people that just want things to work, you know, maybe this is not for you. And maybe it should work, you know? I think since Linux is not as popular on desktop as Windows or Mac, this is just the reality. There's just not enough support for it. On Linux, if something doesn't work, it's kind of up to you to fix it. And yeah, that's just how it is. I was trying to update my drivers for my GPU, and I got a black screen 6 times, and I had to do a hard restore every time. It's, you know, not the most fun thing in the world. There are other things I could rather be doing, which is why I need you to install Linux.
So while true, the black screen thing was probably a NVIDIA issue, just saying. And if you're running Arch, this is the pro con, and this is, again, not slagging. Arch is bleeding edge, so sometimes living on the edge, you get kicked off the ledge by NVIDIA, specifically. So just keep that in mind. There are reasons certain distros do certain things.
So the more people we can get together, the better Linux becomes. And I get it now. Like, that's why people were so excited about me using Linux, because Linux is not a product, it's a platform. And it also already exists everywhere. NASA, SpaceX, it runs on Linux. All the supercomputers, your TV, your smart fridge, your phone, if it's Android, it's all Linux, baby. I think it's just so cool, the fact that this all happened because one Finnish guy in like the 90s just decided, hey, I can write a better kernel. Finnish naivety, typical Finnish behavior. They think they can do anything. But without that, you know, things would have been very different. At least there wouldn't be an alternative. And I just think it's so cool that people saw what it did, got excited, and wanted to join in. So please consider joining in. Now, if you're even just a little bit curious, I recommend trying Linux. Maybe try dual booting it if you're not sure. You can still keep your Windows or whatever. You're gonna kill it later. You might as well kill it now. Test it out, break it, get upset. On Linux, I feel alive at last, at long last. Thank you for watching. Let me just type out my goodbyes. No.
Okay, yeah, that command that he typed for any new user, that command that he typed out on the end, don't fucking do. That deletes your whole system, essentially. Yeah, no, like, so for me, seeing somebody who isn't a tech bro, tech guy, a tech person, or interest in tech, go this deep, this far, this fast, this on Linux is interesting, because it does bring back kind of that sense of discovery and all the other fun stuff that got a lot of us into Linux, a lot of the control and that kind of stuff, that we kind of fall out of that after a while because we become curmudgeon-y and get off my lawn kind of stuff. So cool to see PewDiePie. Definitely going to be interesting to see the results of this. But yeah, I kind of want to react to this because it was a little more than the last, one that kind of popped up. This is like a full deep dive, which I can kind of sink my teeth into. But yeah, very, very in depth, very realistic. He doesn't oversell it. Mentions that there's shortcomings. A lot of times, a lot of Linux users, those that are really passionate about getting people switched over and Linux for the world and all the other stuff, tend to gloss over that it does have issues, just like every other OS and every other thing in the world does as well. So props to PewDiePie. Welcome to the join us among us kind of thing. So anyway, what's your guys' thought on one of the biggest YouTubers on the planet essentially being a Linux user now? Let me know. You guys know what to do. Comment, rate, subscribe. All that fun stuff is in the description for IndieGala, Patreon, Humble Bundle, etc. And I will catch you guys on the next piece.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.